pushes way up the racetrack, and now here comes Janzik. Janzik goes by Query, and he goes by Inman. Burnell gets a great run, another 3 wide for the race lead. It's going to drag race off of turn 4. Shepard is there, but it's Larry White at the line. Still going to be Pat Ward, and they make contact. Britton has broken the race car. AJ Slideways. Alan Johnson wins.
Whether you hug the infield tires or rip the cushion, you found the fastest dirt track podcast in motorsports. Welcome to Where Legends Are Made, the official podcast of Land of Legends Raceway. Here's Stephen and Brad Ovens.
Oh, that's right, race fans. Welcome into another episode of Where Legends Are Made, the official podcast of the Land of Legends Raceway. I'm the voice of the Land of Legends, Steve Ovens, joining you for another program this week. We've got a special guest interview coming up in just a little bit with our own Doug Elkins. We'll talk to Doug about his thoughts on all the things happening down at Volusia. Matt Williamson picking up a couple big wins and the Big Gator. We'll talk to Doug about that. We'll talk about the DIRTVision announcement and how big that is, how that changes things, and we'll get Doug's perspective on that, as well as his perspective on putting on productions as a whole. But the big news this week, and we've had some big announcements over the last couple weeks, and this one was another one that we had really tried to keep under wraps, and so excited to finally get this out in the open. Our 70th anniversary commemorative t-shirts were just released today. We're recording this on Friday, and so excited to have these out for public consumption. They will go on sale Saturday, February 25th. Again, so pumped for everybody to see what we've got going on here with these t-shirts. They will go on sale Saturday, February 25th. You can place your order and be one of the first to get your hands on these commemorative t-shirts. You can place your order with Tana Robinson. Give her a call, 716-799-5669. You can give her a call 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. You can shoot her an email at tana@landoflegendsraceway.com, tana@landoflegendsraceway.com. T-shirts are going to be $25, $3 extra for sizes 2X up through 5X. Sprint car shirts are up through 4X. And we've got an assortment of colors ranging from black, charcoal, gray, and pink, depending on the division T-shirt. But these things came out so awesome. The modifieds featuring some legendary drivers, all the way from Will Cagle to Alan Johnson, Bob McCready, the Hurricane Steve Payne, and Super Matt Shepard. Featured as the photos on our modifieds are Sportsman. The Sportsman shirt looks so awesome. Looking at some of those cars from back in the day when the Sportsman first kicked off in 1987. Our first Sportsman champion, Steve Schultz, is on there. Mike Button was a multi-time champion. Greg Hickson was an early 90s champion on there. Paul Guerri, late 90s champion in the 7 car. And also Dave Marcichelli, who has the record for the most Dirt Car Sportsman modified track championships at the Land of Legends, featured on that shirt. Really excited to get that one released. The Sprint car shirt is awesome. They've only been around since 2012. So the list certainly smaller on that Sprint car shirt. And Daryl Ruggles got a whole pile of those track championships to his credit. That t-shirt came out awesome. Our very first champion, David Ferguson, featured on that. And David's still competing. He even commented when we released the shirt design today that they'll be out to play with us a few times in 2023. He's got his little boy going in mic rods and quarter midgets. So it'll be exciting to have David back out to the racetrack with us. A guy who hasn't raced a whole lot in the last 5 to 7 years. And every time he does it, the guy is, feast or famine. He's either up in the top 3 or on his lid. And I know David would really love to change that luck here in 2023. So we'll look forward to seeing him a few times. But it was so cool to see him, Jason Whipple. You've also got Eric Carlson in the 66 on that shirt, as well as a former champion. Alicia Bay was our track's first female champion, as well as first female champion in the sprint cars. She's featured on there, as well as the motorized madman himself, Darryl Ruggles, in the 48 Junior. And then my personal favorite, for very selfish reasons, the full fender shirt. That thing came out absolutely spectacular. You look at that full fender shirt and you see all the cars from all the different generations on there, between Les White, Jip Ortiz, the 58 machine there, that goes back several years on there. Steve Pisaric, Mike Welch, and I got to give a shout out to Matt Guerry and his crew that took an old photo that I had of my father's car, the 85X, Hollywood Stew, as Gary Montgomery called him, the 1979 champion. So we've got decades all the way back to the 70s on that full fender shirt that are represented, all the way through Mike Welch's car from 2022 featured on there as well. The other cool part about these t-shirts, and because of all the different cars we featured on the full fender one, you don't see all the different logos, but if you look on all the other t-shirts, you'll see all the different Canandaigua Speedway, all those different logos. Shout out to Bob Miller for providing all of the logos that he had on file to help be a part of this commemorative t-shirt. I mean, that is 70 years of history. Just think about that for a minute. 70 years of history. That is an unfathomable amount of history, of racing, of families coming out and enjoying the races, or maybe their family member raced themselves. That, Paul Cole all the time talks about how, the Land of Legends, just not about the legendary drivers. When we say Land of Legends, legends are the stories that are made at this racetrack, the memories that are made. We are one of our most loyal fans from West by God that tunes in every week on Land of Legends TV and very, very active on Twitter, talks about, just how emotional she gets thinking about her memories of going to the racetrack. And those are all those legends that we talk about, all the stories, all the memories. And whether you come to the racetrack every week, a handful of times a year, or you watch from afar, this is a real special place. And these commemorative t-shirts really help us cherish that history that our great racetrack has. Now, there's a few different ways to get your hands on these. You can call Tana to put your order in. Just about all of the t-shirts we have on hand right now. The full fender shirts will be coming next week. Those were the last ones to go to print, so we'll have those, but you'll be able to either, you've got 3 different options to pick up before the race season starts. If you order one, you can pick it up at Motorsports Expo. That's coming up in Syracuse in just a couple weeks. You can pick them up in Canandaigua, New York, meet up with Tana. She can meet you in Canandaigua. And we're also going to set up a pickup spot at SuperGen Products in Newark. You can stop right to Paul Cole's business, SuperGen, at his office and pick up t-shirts that way as well. They are accepting cash, check, and credit cards for payment. If you use a credit card, they add $1 service fee to process the credit card. But man, $25 each to get your hands on a piece of history is pretty awesome. Every champion from every division listed on these, just so cool. And we're excited about being able to finally share what these all looked like. And man, the stories that could be told from all these different champions that are featured on these shirts is a pretty cool thing. Couple things to keep in mind as we get toward the end of February. It's coming up on March. There are still sponsor opportunities available. If you've got a business that you'd like to get featured at Land of Legends Raceway, we do still have one division sponsorship left to go with the new Legends Sportsman. We've got billboard space. We've got Land of Legends TV commercial space. We have got so many different creative ways, a nightly sponsor, many different ways that you can get involved here at the Land of Legends Raceway. Contact Tana for all of that information. We are going to be featured at 2 upcoming shows, one of which will be Finger Lakes Speed World, held at the Auburn Mall there at Bass Pro Shops, right there in the center dining court. And all throughout that mall there, that show is coming up, Finger Lakes Speed World. Find them on Facebook at Finger Lakes Speed World. We'll be a part of that show. We'll also be a part of the Motorsports Expo taking place in Syracuse. Jeremy Corcoran and his crew have done a phenomenal job putting this show on the last few years. We've been excited to be a part of that show. We'll have our schedule cards as usual. All the cast and characters will be there to chat, do a little bench racing, talk about our big announcement, simulcasting on DIRTVision. And if you order a t-shirt or if you want to buy one, we'll have them there on sale at Motorsports Expo as well. That's the upcoming dates to keep in mind. Also keep in mind open practice. And this is, of course, weather dependent, but open practice, any car, any division, is set for Saturday, April 15th. And our opening night, sponsored by Howell Properties, is going to be on Saturday, April 22nd. Those are the upcoming dates to keep in mind. We're going to step aside here. When we come back, Doug Elkins from Elkins Video Productions and Land of Legends TV is our main interview of the week. Stick around. We'll have Doug here in just a moment.
By the grace of God and 800 horsepower, it's time for the main interview of the week.
Well, race fans, we got a nice show for you this week. Going to be a little bit of an abbreviated show. I wanted to get my good friend Doug Elkins in here, one of my teammates on Saturday nights here at the Land of Legends. And Doug, how are you doing? How's your off season going? For some folks that watch us on Land of Legends TV, let's check in with Doug, see how he's doing.
I'm doing well, although I must tell you, with Daytona, we had a winter warmer here for Brewerton and Fulton. I got to see some of the guys and watch the DIRTVision race from Volusia. So I will say this, I'm needing it more now than before. I was doing okay, but now that I've seen a little race, and I'm like, man, I need more. So I just can't wait for April to get here.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I know Fulton and Brewerton have been doing that for a couple years now, and it seemed like everybody had a really good time out there this weekend.
They did. Banquets are tough. Yeah, I mean, look at our banquet. I think we had 9 of us at a table that seats 2 in the corner over there. So you never know how big to make the venue. And so for Brewerton and Fulton, what they do is they have, like, past few years, they've done it at RFH's Hideaway, which is just down the street, but it's very small. So they hand out awards, so you could just stop by quickly and get your plaque and get your money, or you could hang out. And they always play the race. They always plan it for that Saturday night, the finale from Volusia. So we were there with the Duke game, the Syracuse Duke game, which got over pretty fast, unfortunately, on Saturday night. And then they had that, and it was at a different place this year, Jammer's Sports Bar and Restaurant, which is the old Quaker Steak and Lube. I don't know if you remember that from back in the day,
yeah.
Steve. So nice big place. Lots of people showed up. It was really nice. I got a lot of videos, and those are up on the Elkins Video Production YouTube page now, but very well attended. It was a lot of fun. And you know how it is, Steve. We spend 5, 6, 7 months in some cases with all of our friends at the racetrack, and then we just don't get to see them. So it was so nice to shake hands and check in with everybody and see them again.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. I certainly felt that way about our banquet. It's just so nice to see people that you haven't seen since September, Speaking of seeing people,
and you did a heck of a job, by the way, Steve. I got to say that before you get too far in. You did a heck of a job. I don't know if you were nervous, but you sure didn't look it. Great job, man. Seriously.
I was. You and I have talked about that, and it's people probably don't realize it, but I probably am more nervous at times than I lead on. But I'm glad it translates okay.
No, it was fun. It was fun. Food was good. It was nice to see everybody. Really was.
You're talking about watching a little bit of Volusia there, at Jammers, and Matt Williamson, my goodness, what a week he had, and to not lead a whole lot of laps doing it and come away with 2 wins in the Big Gator. Matt just really found something there this week that really shined.
He did, especially because I didn't catch most of the race. I kind of caught a lot of it out of the corner of my eye, and I saw that Jack Lehner was leading. And boy, you talk about one of the nice young stars of the Super Dirt Car Series, and one of those guys I think in a few years is going to be winning races. But to have Matt Williamson pass him late in the race, and if you guys didn't see it, basically Jack was running the bottom, and most of the slower traffic tends to go to the bottom. He kind of got trapped down there. Matt was able to get to the outside, I think, with 2 to go. I felt bad for Jack, but boy, you got to hand it to Matt Williamson when the money's on the line and it's late in the race, the guy just gets it done.
He sure does. You feel terrible for Jack, but that Jack is right there. He's right on the cusp of getting that first win. And, don't be surprised if he doesn't rack up a couple after he gets that first one out of the way. Max continues his good streak at Volusia. He got the night 1 win and did it, fairly convincingly. Max has really found his stride, particularly at Volusia these last couple of years. Got a few wins now.
He has, and I still remember when he first got into dirt modifieds, and I remember one night at Brewerton, he made a mistake. I think it was maybe his 4th or 5th time in a big block, and got down in the infield and actually spun in front of everybody. And I remember going to him and I said, man, you ain't the first person, you aren't the last person to do that. But to watch him develop these last few years, and the fact that he can just hop into an asphalt late model or a modified and go out and look like he's been running them forever. I mean, there's a lot of talent in that young man right there. And for him and his dad to do what they did, I mean, they were living in that little apartment above, right by the shop there in Weedsport, and to see where they are now, it's a great story. And how can you not root for that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, so it was both Max and Matt Williamson getting wins down there. We had some local guys headed down that way. Alex Payne was down there. Danny Johnson was down there. Kyle Coffey had some good moments down there as well in the 39 ride. So we had some local flavor down there that was down there competing. So hats off, because it's not an easy task to take not only the time but all the resources. Fuel, diesel being what it is right now. That's a bigger task to get down to Florida than it used to be. So hats off to all of them for doing that. Doug, you and I have had a lot of fun these last couple of years working at Land of Legends on Saturday, and we've had an announcement here, in the last week, 8 days or so, that it doesn't. I've explained this to a few people. It doesn't change what we do on a Saturday night, but it certainly increases the amount of eyeballs that are going to be watching it. What was your reaction and your thoughts as we embark on simulcasting on DIRTVision?
Well, the first thing was obvious. We're still going to have it free for everybody, and then it was like, okay, yes, we are doing that. But you're right. The DIRTVision audience is a loyal bunch that watch races from all over the place. So I think maybe, if anything else, it makes it easier for them now to check out our product rather than having to go someplace else. So it can only mean more views. And like you and I were doing some marketing stuff there earlier today. And with that extra platform now, geez, what a great opportunity for the race car drivers. And, I noticed something very interesting last year when I was at Super Dirt Week that goes right with this. At various points of the race, like I kind of looked in the grandstand, and it's like, man, there's a lot more people here than were in the grandstand. And as I went back through the camping area, people have their big screens set up outside of their RVs and everything like that. So I think there is a huge segment of the population that relies on DIRTVision for a lot of the stuff and watches it right there. So now to add our brand, and all the people are still going to be the same, so you really won't notice any difference in the broadcast. But anytime you can get another, let's see, like almost like a new channel on a TV that you can watch showing that, I think it's great, because it's going to be a lot more exposure for our teams. And I mean, what a great opportunity for them. Remember we did that show at Weedsport a few years ago that was on Empire Sports. We had a lot of teams come just for that exposure to get their sponsors, some extra eyes. So to have this simulcast on the 2 channels now, there's not many win-wins in racing, but this is surely a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, definitely. And one driver kind of comes to mind that, in that same light that you're talking, Dalton Martin, they're getting ready to go big block racing. And just what you said, they're one of those teams that is, trying to get their name out there a little bit more. Just moving up to the big block class, that adds a new element of exposure, running in the track's premier division, but now, even more views than what we've even been offering here. Maybe that's an opportunity for a team like that to pull in some extra dollars that make the wheels go around. We know how important that is at the end of the day. But I'm just, for a guy like him, I know he talked to you when they made that decision to go big block racing. I'm looking at guys like Dalton Martin. We had Ricky Newton that stepped up last year. I know Tori Stoutinger. I watched Elkins video productions, saw Tori's interview. He wants to come back as soon as they can. I think there's, we've got some positive momentum building up here that, I don't know. I won't say that we haven't had it in the past, but for some reason it stands out to me more these last couple of years that we do have guys from Sportsman that are making the jump up and now trying to get some of that extra exposure that's going to be out there.
And I think the biggest difference is, and I thought about this the other night when I was watching, I think it was the Clash maybe, or whatever was Thursday, the duels, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
These new teams, in NASCAR and so many other forms of racing do not get much exposure. They start at the back. You might catch their car as they get lapped or something like that. But the nice thing with dirt racing is with like handicapping and stuff like that, Dalton Martin is going to get time at the front of the field in the heat races. And if he qualifies in the heat, he's going to get time up front. So I think the format that we have in dirt makes it easier for the young drivers, the Ricky Newtons, the Tori Stoutingers, and the guys that may not necessarily be running up front all the time. It gives them that camera time that they need. And, because a lot of people would think, well, I'm only going to sponsor the winners because they're not going to be on. But in reality, with our format, they're going to be on. And that's one of the best things I like about dirt racing is, if you're there every week, you get that pole position out front, you got your chance. You could nail the setup that night, hit your marks, go get yourself a heat win. And where you just don't see that in a lot of other forms of racing.
One guy I talked to that did, we did put a video together for that falls right in that same group was Greg Byrosh. Yes. He said, I'd love to have one of those done to try to get, a couple more sponsors to come on board. But he goes, I don't know if you've got a lot of good footage of me. And I said, actually, you'd be surprised, they were figuring things out and then, got a heat win there at the end of the year. So, that's you're absolutely right on that. There's no doubt about that. So we've got the DIRTVision announcement, 70th anniversary here at the Land of Legends. That's a big deal all in itself. Got a lot of big promotions for that 70th anniversary. And the other thing, I was just Sunday was watching the race with Steve Schultz, who back in the day was called Sergeant Schultz. One of those Gary Montgomery names, and he just talking to some of those drivers, I feel like that is going to be such a fun thing for us to do this year is try to find as many of those Steve Schultzes that we can that are coming to the races. I'm thinking of Steve Pisaric. I'm thinking of, other guys that are wandering the pit area, the Johnny Byroshes of the world, that we can get some of these stories that will be fun to tell as we commemorate that 70th anniversary.
And the nice thing is, there's a lot of these stories that we're not going to be able to predict. Like, talk about a feel-good story. How about Carl Johnson last season? 2021, he was close, couldn't seem to get the next thing. He updates his car, and he ends up pretty much dominating on a lot of nights. So there's going to be a few of those guys, Steve, that are doing something that maybe we don't know about just yet, that might be coming out with a new car or a new crew chief, or just, it's that time in their career where all of a sudden it starts to click. And that's, I think, the thing that makes dirt racing the most fun for me, because people always ask me, this will be my 34th season, what keeps you coming back? And it's those stories. It's the driver, like that just moves up either from a hobby stock to a street stock or street stock to a sportsman, to see them lead their first laps, to see them get their first heat win, their first top 5. That's what keeps me. You know this, Steve, but if I look at the top 5 and one of those guys doesn't have a win yet, well, I'm sorry, that's who I'm rooting for. I bet you're probably the same to some degree, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, that's what we say, right? I mean, we don't have favorite drivers. We root for good stories, you know.
Yeah.
And any media member will tell you that, you know. So, and I'm right there. I mean, hey, the cool part, and like we all have a little piece of it. Like for me, the favorite part of that is calling that last lap coming home. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. For you, it's that raw emotion of that driver getting out of the car, standing on the roof. Yeah. Like we all have that little piece of it. And then, you know, the team, you know, that's cutting those highlights, because you know the driver and their family, they just can't wait to see that come out the following week. Hey, you talked about getting excited for the season. Motorsports Expo is coming up, and that is. Do we call that the official start of the season? Is that how do you have a way of saying that?
I think it's more almost the warm up, you know, almost the pre-race show to some degree, because there's going to be so many things, like I was just saying a second ago, that we just don't know. I haven't heard from this particular driver, and then boom, here's their car in one of the speedway booths or something like that. So, but the toughest part is almost like what I'm going through right now. You see everybody, you get together for 2, sometimes 3 days, because I usually get there for the setup too. And then, it's still another month before we get going. So that's the worst part. And but NHRA is starting soon, so that'll be nice. I'll start watching that. I'm a huge fan of that. And that was one of the few forms of racing I followed before I got into this. But I think it's almost like the pre-race show. And then you just got to wait for the broadcast to begin, and then everything starts. But just so much fun to see these cars all nice and clean and bright and shiny, and everything's perfect. I always say you work like crazy to make these things look like show cars. Then you take them on the racetrack and beat the crap out of them. I mean, who doesn't like that?
I hear that. Some other cool stories that we've seen over the fall and the winter. Mike Welch has put together a pretty cool street stock series that's going to be coming to Land of Legends to end their series, but they've got 4 races prior to that. They're going to Ransomville, Freedom, Genesee, Woodhall, and then they come to Land of Legends to cap it off. You know, we've talked several times about how much fun these street stocks have been to watch, particularly at Land of Legends. I'm excited. There's a lot of buzz about that series, guys wanting to go try some new tracks, and the schedule makes it so that, you know, they can do so, and they can still come out every Saturday to Land of Legends if they want to. So I think that's going to be fun. Mike's done a cool thing. You know, they're getting that rules package put together that, you know, is going to be, you know, acclimable to so many different tracks they go to. That's going to be fun.
That was the only thing that I thought of when they put that together, is how close are these rules? Are there some little things maybe that need to be tweaked, something else that the drivers might have to do? Because street stocks, I mean, you could go to a track and in the Capital District, their street stocks are going to be different. You can go to a track in Canada, their street stocks might be a little bit different. Because I mean, these are not like the street stocks, you know, in the Gary Montgomery era in the 90s. They're probably closer to late models than they've ever been, almost like a BRP car almost, or you know, you were an outlaw, almost like a super stock.
Right.
To some degree. They're great looking cars.
A lot of guys, Doug, say these are the super stocks of old without 10-inch tires.
That's about right. Yeah, because I got the 9-inch, I believe, on the street stocks now. So you don't have as much rubber on the track. But I like the thing I like the best about it is they didn't try to get too big too fast. Because how many times have we seen that where a series comes out and they do like 4 or 5 races the first year, then the next year they do 25 and they got an east and a north and a west and a south, and the next thing you know, it's so big that it's hard to follow. So I like that they made it easier, because these are street stock drivers. These are guys who work, all of them. You know, there are no professionals in the street stock ranks. So for them to have that big picture, and if anybody would know that, it would be Mike Welch, who's been in the division for so long, and he's worked for DIRTcar. He's been an inspector, so he knows what to look for. So I think it was very smart what they did, and I really do hope that that works out well. And I hope that, when they get to Canandaigua, who knows, maybe we could have 40 of those things in the pit area.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. Especially they're going to have their championship for the Top Gun shootout, which I love.
Oh, is that how that's going to work? That's great.
Yeah, the championship race for their series is going to be the Top Gun shootout, which I think is a great idea, because that's a very prestigious event all in its own. And to make the series the last stop there, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. Les
would have liked that. Les would have liked that, because he was one of the guys who went from the Mr. Dirt Street Stock Series when it became the Mr. Dirt Pro Stock Series. So what a great way to honor him by, having the inaugural season's finale at the race honoring him. I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, Doug, you got a lot of great. I've watched some of them today already. You got a lot of great interviews from jammers over the weekend. Tell folks how they can see all those videos. If we are picking up some new fans since the DIRTVision announcement. So tell folks how they can see some of your content that you've got going.
Well, of course, anybody who follows me on Facebook, we put them up there, and I also make them visible for not just my friends and the drivers' friends, but anybody. But Elkins Video Productions, I also have that as an EVP, also is everything tagged. But you go to Elkins Video Productions, you can type in the driver you want, the racetrack you want. We tag the heck out of everything, Steve. So it makes it very easy to find the driver, track, or division that you're looking for. But we did over 500,000 views last year.
Wow.
And we got a lot of support from the teams and everything. And you know me, you've seen me in the pits when I do those things. I'm in heaven when I'm doing that. And also when Art comes down, we got 5 minutes to fill, find somebody in the pits, you got 30 seconds. That's when Mike Yanni, who's our cameraman out there, and he's wonderful, by the way, to work with. That's when we're having more fun than you are, Steve, because then we're all right, let's find somebody fast. It's a ball, and we love it.
You're absolutely right, because the night, I think it was the night the late models were there, we had a bunch of time to fill, and I came over and played and had a little fun with you guys doing some of those.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I said to you when I went back to the tower was, man, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not that I don't have fun announcing, but it was getting those stories. That piece that Chris Fleming's team gave us, and we did a story on the terrible weekend that they had before they got to the track. Yeah, that was fun, and it goes right in line with when you started Doug's Dirt Diary, those stories in the pits that if you weren't in the pits, you weren't there, you wouldn't have known was going on. So,
well, remember the reason I started that was in the first place was I had announced for 16 seasons, and I just wasn't enjoying it as much as I was. And I mean, being in the tower for 4 or 5 hours, it's draining. It really is. So I got to give Steve all the credit in the world. And so when I started doing that and just wandering around the pits, this car's jacked up. What are you guys doing? Oh, you got the hood off. What's wrong? It made the sport new for me again, and really helped me fall in love with it all over again. So I've joked with you. I mean, the week you were off, it was like, no, I want to stay in the pits. I don't want to go there. I want to stay out here. I'm having too much fun. And of course, seeing everybody in Victory Lane. I mean, I'm fortunate I get to see the happiest people in the whole pit area every night as they get out of those cars. And every now and then you get that rare night where somebody who you never thought was going to win pulls one off, or like the last race of the year for us. I mean, look at how things went Friday. We had the problems with the track. We had to cancel the show. Came back the next day. A lot of people were wondering, gee, what's going to happen? Is it going to be okay? And we ended up having our best modified race of the season. So we've got a great team out there, from everybody in the concession stands, the folks that sign you in, flag stand, you name it. Everybody's wonderful. Our TV crew is fantastic. I could not be happier and more excited about returning to a track than I am every year coming back. And of course, it all starts with Paul Cole. And he brought me out of retirement, so that says a lot. And Steve, you do an amazing job. I remember when you first started at Outlaw, and where you've come. I mean, heck, you're better than me right now at the play-by-play. I'll tell you that. And I'm sure Gary's looking down and smiling at you right now.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's truly. I just talked to somebody the other day, and I said, the day. I have not hit the day where I've not been having fun yet. and I hope that I never do.
Mhm.
And it's, the team we've got there, and you're right. It starts with Paul putting all the pieces in place to make all that happen. It's truly been a lot of fun. So
He lets you do your job, Steve. I've worked for delegators at racetracks, and it's no fun. Paul just hands us the keys and off you go. And that's how you bring out the best in people. You let them do what they do best. And we're so fortunate. And the track, I mean, the history, 70 years. I mean, not many racetracks can say that. I mean, after World War II, obviously, that's when racing really started going, that and a lot of other activities too. And for that track to be there that long, it's a county fairgrounds, the history. I smile every time I pull in that parking lot at about 3:15 on Saturdays. I just smile, and I can't wait to get going.
I'm with you, man. Well, it doesn't seem like it's that close, but it's closer than we think. It's closer than we think. But
it was at the banquet a few weeks ago, so we'll get there.
Yeah. No, we will for sure. Hey, man, I appreciate you stopping by and giving me a little bit of time here, and for all of our listeners. And we'll talk to you here real soon, Doug.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your night, Steve.
All right. Thank you. There's our A-Main interview of the week with Doug Elkins.
Land of Legends Raceway fans, tune in each and every week of the racing season to Where Legends Are Made, a podcast dedicated to covering the drama, excitement, and hear from the drivers from your favorite dirt track. Stephen Ovens and Brad Ovens walk you through the week that was Where Legends Are Made. Subscribe on Apple or Google Podcasts and visit landoflegendspodcast.com.
Fans of Land of Legends Raceway and the Where Legends Are Made podcast, we've got a great opportunity for you to feature your business. We have opportunities here to sponsor Where Legends Are Made. We have all different features of the podcast. You can pick to be a sponsor of one of our heat races. Maybe you want your business name attached to the top 10 read-offs for the week. Maybe you want your business to be the one that's heard when we play our highlight of the week. Maybe you're a history buff. You want to sponsor Heat 3, where we talk about this week in Land of Legends Raceway history. Maybe you want to be the A-Main sponsor. So when we interview our main driver of the week, you want to get your business out in front of that. We've got plenty of opportunities for you to do so, and we can work inside of any budget. And believe me, if you're listening to this and you're saying, oh, I don't think my business has the advertising budget to sponsor a podcast, believe me, we can fit inside of anybody's advertising budget. Get your business a little bit of advertising here on Where Legends Are Made. Contact us right here on the Land of Legends Raceway Facebook page if you're interested, and put your business in front of all of our fans where legends are made.